This is Everyday Tension. Real stories based on real experiences about everyday conflicts people rarely talk about. This story was shared anonymously. If you'd like, you can support the channel by liking or subscribing and let me know in the comments where you're listening from. Here's what happened.
I guess I should start at the beginning, or what feels like the beginning, now. My name is Laura. I've used a wheelchair since I was 22, after a car accident that wasn't even my fault. That's a whole other story, but it matters because it shaped everything that came after. It made my world smaller, physically. I learned to sew from my grandmother before she passed, and it turned from a hobby into a lifeline. After the accident, when going out to a regular job felt like planning a military operation, I started taking in alterations. Then I began making simple dresses, children's clothes. I built a little business from my living room. It was quiet. The only sounds were the machine, the scissors, and the radio. For years, that was enough. It was my purpose and my paycheck. But the quiet gets heavy. The apartment felt too big for just one person. I'd finish an order, package it up, and the silence would rush back in. I had friends, sure, but they had their own families, their own orbits. I'd go to bed and think, is this it? Just me and this chair and this sewing machine? Until I'm old, I wanted more. I wanted the messy, complicated noise of a family. A partner didn't seem to be in the cards. Dating when you're in a chair is its own special kind of headache. So I started looking into adoption. Everyone had an opinion. My sister said I was crazy, that I could barely take care of myself. The social worker had that careful, neutral face when she did the home study. She saw the ramps, the adapted bathroom, the lower counters in the kitchen. She asked a lot of questions about my support system. I told her I had a good routine. I told her I was stable. I didn't tell her that the routine was what was slowly suffocating me. The process took forever. Paperwork, interviews, more paperwork. I almost gave up a dozen times. Then I got the call about a little boy. He was 4. His history was rough, bounced around a bit. They showed me a picture. He had serious eyes. I said yes. Bringing Michael home was the most terrifying thing I'd ever done. Suddenly the quiet was gone, replaced by the thump of small feet, questions, the crash of a glass he'd tried to reach. I had to reorganize everything. My neat stacks of fabric became hazards. My sewing room door had to stay shut. It was exhausting. It was wonderful. For the first week, he barely spoke. He just watched me, those big eyes following me as I wheeled from the kitchen to the living room. I talked to him, pointlessly, just to fill the silence. I'd tell him about the dress I was working on, what we were having for dinner. He started calling me Mom after about 3 months. It was casual, like it had always been that way. Mom, I'm hungry. It felt like a gift every single time. I'd worry, constantly. Was I doing it right? Was I giving him enough? Too much? Yeah, I couldn't run in the park with him. I'd watch from the path as he climbed on the jungle gym, my heart in my throat, hoping he wouldn't fall, hoping none of the other kids said anything about me just sitting there. Sometimes they did. He'd come back and not mention it. I never knew if that was better or worse. We settled into a life. My work adapted. I sewed during school hours and after he went to bed. Money was always a little tight. He helped more as he got older. He'd fetch things from high shelves, take the laundry down to the building's basement. I hated asking, but sometimes I had to. I'd always say thank you. maybe too much. I'd try to make it up to him with his favorite meals, letting him stay up a little late on weekends. I worried I was turning him into a little caretaker. But he seemed okay. He got good grades. He had friends. He'd talk about his day sometimes. Mostly, he was a typical teenager, glued to his phone, his door closed. I never lied to him about being adopted. There were children's books about it when he was little. He knew his tummy mommy couldn't take care of him, that she loved him, but couldn't be there. That was the story we went with. He seemed to accept it. He never asked many questions. I thought that was a good sign. I thought it meant he felt secure. I was so stupid. When he turned 16, he got quieter. I chalked it up to being a teenager. He spent more time in his room. You get a look on his face sometimes, like he was far away. I'd ask if everything was okay. He'd just shrug and say, "Yeah, fine." The distance felt normal. Painful, but normal. I missed the little boy who'd tell me everything, but I figured this was just what happened. Then he turned 18. It was like a switch flipped. He was legally an adult. He got a part-time job at a grocery store. He started talking about saving for a car. I was proud. I was also scared, because it felt like he was preparing for a departure. I tried not to cling. I failed. The argument happened on a Tuesday morning. It was so stupid. He'd left his breakfast dishes in the sink. Again. I asked him, as I was reeling over to wash my own cup, if he could please put them in the dishwasher. It wasn't a big deal. I didn't yell. I was just tired. Tired of the mess. Tired of feeling like I was nagging. Tired of the subtle tension that had been thickening the air for months. He turned from where he was tying his shoes by the door. "Why? You're right there. I just asked you to do it, Michael. It takes 2 seconds. You're always right there," he said, and his voice had an edge I hadn't heard before. "You're always just there, watching, meeting something." It felt like the air got sucked out of the room. "What does that mean?" "It means everything revolves around this," he said, gesturing vaguely at my chair, at me. "What you can't do, what I have to do for you. I'm sick of being your support system." That word, support. He said it like it was something dirty. I felt my face get hot. "I'm your mother. I took care of you. I love you. That's what families do. They help each other. You're not my real mother." The words exploded out of him. They hung in the space between us, sharp and final. He looked as shocked as I felt, but then his face hardened. "Stop using me as support. Just stop." I couldn't speak. I just stared at him. He grabbed his backpack, slinging it over one shoulder. He wouldn't look at me. He yanked the door open. Then he paused, half out, and said it. The words were flat, delivered over his shoulder like he was tossing out trash. "Forget me. I found my real mom." The door closed. Not a slam, just a soft, definitive click. I sat there. I don't know how long. The breakfast dishes were still in the sink. The sun was coming through the window, hitting the linoleum floor. Everything looked exactly the same, and everything was different. It was like someone had reached inside my chest and disconnected a vital wire. I just went cold and numb. The days that followed were a blur. I cried. I'd be selling a seam and just start crying. I'd wake up in the morning, and for a second it would be normal. Then I'd remember, and the weight would crush me all over again. I called his phone. It went straight to voicemail. I texted. No response. I called again. Nothing. After a week, I drove myself crazy wondering if I should call the police. But he was 18. He'd left a note, in a way. He told me to forget him. I replayed every moment of the last 18 years. The times I'd asked him to grab a box of pasta from the top shelf. The times I couldn't go to a school event if there wasn't accessible parking. The way I'd sometimes get quiet and sad on the anniversary of my accident, and he'd bring me a cup of tea without me asking. Had that been a burden? Had every "thank you, honey" been a chain? I thought I was teaching him responsibility, empathy. He saw it as being used. And the other thing, the real mom. When did he find her? How? He must have been looking while he was living under my roof, eating the food I cooked, letting me think we were a family. He was secretly searching for her. The betrayal of that was a physical pain. It made the love I'd felt for 18 years feel naive and foolish. I told a few people. My sister said, "I told you so." Not in those words, but her tone said it all. A friend said he was just a kid. He'd come around. But he wasn't a kid. He was a man who had made a choice. I tried to go back to my old routine, just me and the sewing machine. The quiet was back, but it wasn't peaceful anymore. It was accusing. The apartment felt huge and empty, but also cluttered with his ghost. His room was still full of his stuff. I couldn't bring myself to go in there. 3 months passed. The sharpest pain dulled into a constant ache. I was getting used to the new, lonelier rhythm of my life. I was finishing a wedding dress for a client, a complicated beaded thing that required all my focus. My phone rang on the table next to me. I didn't recognize the number, but it was a local area code. I almost didn't answer. I'm glad I did. "Hello?" There was a pause, then a voice. "Mom." It was him. My hand froze, the needle poised above the lace. That one word, Mom, after everything, after forget me, and real mom. It was like he'd thrown a grenade into the careful numbness I'd built. "Michael?" My voice sounded thin. "Yeah, it's me." He sounded different, younger, scared. There was noise in the background, like he was outside somewhere. "Are you okay?" It was automatic, a mother's question. I need help." His voice broke on the last word. "Can you please send money?" The request was so blunt, it took my breath away. This wasn't a reconciliation call. This was a transaction. All the things I'd imagined him saying, "I'm sorry, I was wrong, I miss you," evaporated. "What's wrong?" I managed to ask. "It's my mom, my real mom. She's in a bad spot. She has no one else. She needs help with rent. She's going to get evicted." He was talking fast, tripping over the words. "I knew you. I knew you loved me. So I came to you." I closed my eyes. The ache in my chest was back, a fresh, new wound, right on top of the old one. He was calling me because he knew I loved him. He was using my love as a tool to get money for the woman who replaced me. The irony was so brutal, it was almost funny. But he'd called me Mom. In that moment, that was all that mattered. He'd said the word. It was a hook in my heart, and I was caught. "How much?" I heard myself ask. The words felt like they came from someone else. He named a figure. It was a lot. It was more than I made in a month from selling. It was my savings buffer, the money I kept for emergencies. "Okay," I said. There was a long exhale on the other end. "Really? You'll set?" "Yes. Give me your account details." He recited them, his voice steadier now. He didn't ask how I was. He didn't say thank you. He just gave me the numbers. I wrote them down on the edge of the wedding dress pattern. "I'll do it today," I said. "Okay, thanks, Mom." And he hung up. I sat there with the dead phone in my hand. I felt dizzy. What had I just done? I reeled over to my laptop, logged into my bank account. The numbers stared back at me. I initiated the transfer. I typed in the amount, his account number. I clicked confirm. The money vanished from my screen. The rest of the day was a haze. I tried to go back to the wedding dress, but my hands were shaking. I kept seeing his face from that morning, hard and angry. I kept hearing his voice on the phone, scared and calculating. Which one was the real him? Was the boy I raised still in there somewhere, or had he been completely erased by this new person who saw me as a bank account? I sent the money because he called me Mom. That's the pathetic truth. For 3 months, I'd been nothing, a forgotten person in a quiet apartment. Then, with one word, he made me exist again. He made me necessary. He reached into the void and pulled me back out by the one thread he knew would hold: my need to be needed. Now, a week later, I'm sitting here at my sewing table. The wedding dress is finished, shipped off. I have another order to start, but I can't focus. I just keep thinking about the money. I keep checking my phone, which is stupid. He won't call to say thank you. He got what he wanted. I try to untangle my own feelings. Did I do something kind? Maybe. I helped someone I love who was in distress. That's a good thing, isn't it? A mother's love is supposed to be unconditional. Maybe this was the ultimate test, and I passed. But it doesn't feel like passing a test. It feels like I failed. It feels like I just taught him that he can blow up my life, disappear, and then come back when he needs something, and I'll still be here, wallet open. I bought my way back into his story. I paid for the right to be called Mom, one more time. That thought makes me feel cheap. It makes the love feel cheap. I wonder about his other mother. What is she like? What was so compelling about her that he would throw away 18 years to find her? Is she sick? Is she kind? Does she appreciate what he did for her? What I did for her? Does she even know where the money came from? I don't have any answers. I just have this hollow feeling. The money is gone. The quiet is back, but it's a different quiet now. It's waiting. I'm waiting to see if he'll call again. And I don't know what I want that call to be. If he asks for more money, I don't think I can say yes. But if he doesn't call at all, that might be worse. I look around my apartment, at the ramps I had installed, at the lower kitchen counters, at the empty space where his shoes used to sit by the door. I built this life around him. I adapted everything for him. And in the end, he saw all those adaptations as burdens, as me leaning on him. He never saw them as love. He never saw the choice, every single day, to be his mother. Maybe that's my fault. Maybe I didn't say it right. Maybe I showed love through acts of service, making his clothes, cooking his meals, creating a stable home, and he just saw obligation. Maybe he needed words I didn't know how to say. I keep hoping, in a weak, desperate part of my heart, that sending that money will be a wake-up call for him, that he'll get the cash, help his other mom, and then, in the quiet after, it will hit him. He'll think, she gave that to me. After what I said, after what I did, she still gave it to me. Maybe that realization will mean something. Maybe it will be the start of him coming back, for real. But I'm not naive. I'm 53 years old, and I've been in this chair for half my life. I know hope is often just a prettier word for pain you haven't accepted yet. So I'll go on. I'll sew the next dress. I'll pay the bills. I'll sit in this quiet apartment. And I'll wait. Not for an apology, or for things to go back to how they were. That's gone. I'm waiting to see what shape this new, broken relationship will take. If it will take any shape at all. The love is still there, like a bone that didn't set right. It aches all the time. I don't know if I did the right thing. I just know I did the only thing I could do when he called me Mom.